That's exactly right. Completely forgot that she got here ahead of us and is already in trouble.
Ah, had a French manual so you could manage your late game.
Very nice. The manual for Final Fantasy I was amazing. It's really a shame they don't do stuff like that anymore. It was like a 60-page booklet that had to walk through all the way up through the ice cave.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Kept from falling down. Do we know Cecil? We know Cecil quite well. Welp. Poor Rosa. Yeah. They just don't do stuff like that anymore. Well, I feel like a double plus a jerk now for
seriously
walking right off.
She travels across the desert, collapses and everything else to try to find you, and you're like, "Well, I don't even care."
Sorry, I got to march this little kid off into the desert. It's don't got time for that. Okay, back to
Ben misses the days of good, thorough game manuals on paper.
Yeah,
I remember. They had that for the Warcraft series up until Warcraft 3.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty good times. And I can understand why they stopped doing it, but yeah, there is just something depressing about opening up a game box and there's only like the warning this can cause epileptic seizures thing on there, and that's it.
Or nowadays for PC games where you open up the box and you get a disc and a Steam code.
Right.
And that's it. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to run away from everything to get back to where we were, and keep things. Unless there's like an encounter with one or two enemies, that'd be faster to just stab them. Lorax's first JRPG was Final Fantasy IX. Didn't think we'd heard of any before that, and saw a review of it on Toonami.
Oh wow,
Toonami Kid. I was on, I think, in P-Bug stream the other day, and we talked about Toonami and yeah, when I was my senior year in high school, and there was the computer lab monitor was this really nice guy, and so basically I would pretend to study, and he would pretend to be watching everybody else. We basically just talk about what happened on Gundam Wing and DBC the following day. How that feels old. What's so hilarious about Tellah thinking that his magic isn't up for the job is that if you're playing, I think, any of the versions after this one, or at least the DS version onward, they give Tellah his skill Recall, which is from the Japanese original version, and that lets him randomly select any black magic spell he could cast, with a couple exceptions. I mean, Media wasn't on the list and everything. And it's possible for him to draw a Fundaga, which will one-shot the boss.
That said, it isn't something that I would risk. So.
Right. You don't get to be an old wizard by taking unnecessary chances.
Right.
Yeah, I should have bought Tellah a rod. That's what's kind of... I think the reason why I didn't is that I had assumed that I found the ice rod sooner than I did, then I could have one of them use that.
Right.
I think Tellah should be able to one-shot some of this nonsense with Lit. So let's see if that's the case. Survey says... Yes. And then some. He could have gotten all four.
Right.
So given I know the save point is coming up, I'm probably just going to have Tellah deal with the nonsense. And he's in the back rank too.
Lorax was more into fighting games, platformers, racing, and so forth, and didn't read gaming magazines. So yeah, that would do it.
Whereas Ben says, Tellah getting lit. He's definitely old enough to have been at Woodstock.
I have to admit too that playing this, I've always been a huge fan of the purple type color, and so Tellah was immediately my favorite character. That, and I liked that pulsing energy that he had for his magic. It just made him immediately feel like this is serious wizard. He does serious business.
Right. So I guessed wrong. It's like it was an iron ring you get immediately, and it's a cap you need to buy for him. But no big deal. But then I don't think you can actually get in here in the original. Maybe you can. Yeah, there's a spot under the... When in doubt, always go under the waterfall. Yep, here we go. So elixir, we're going to need that. High potion, 1,000 large. or one large.
Yeah, 1,000 large would be a little bit more.
It would be 10,000, right? Or a million. 1,000,000, yes, is in fact a million. Did I mention it's been that I'm a college dropout?
And not to cast aspersions or anything, but you are not the business major of the family. So.
Yeah, what I was looking for pictures to do the banner on the background there. Good old useless debuff spells. To get to pictures there, I couldn't find any good ones for Tellah, which is why he isn't on there. And for another reason too, that veterans of the game will know. Oh right, I think with Tellah, you can dedicate a single lightning to that guy and take him out. Yeah, there we go. And I don't think this will do it. So I'll get ready to start doing some business here.
If you had his
oh, never mind.
Yeah, if that hadn't have worked, and this had been one of the expansions where you could use the Dark Wave thing, then that would have done it too.
Right.
But, alas.
Yeah, so mage power gets us through. I was starting to think of that we'll get another light armor person, because why I had 3 back rows. But for obvious reasons, we will not be getting the next one until at the same time. Surprise. Surprise fights are a good time to go get some water. Alright. Cecil's still fastest, although you can see that Tellah's faster than Rydia. What she do? I hope I haven't miscounted on exactly how long it is before we get to the save, the free save. I just have all this MP. Then wonders why Darkwave is taken out. Too much risk of the dumb American kids grinding HP down to 1. I honestly think that considering most of the easy type things weren't so much in numeric or statistical difficulty, but just in ease of use, they probably got removed for the same reason that like everything got streamlined into just heal potions did, just to minimize the amount of time people would spend doing things that were suboptimal. Because usually it's like you want Cecil to fight, so you make him the really simple character, and you don't really give them the other option of magic until later, when people are more comfortable with it. I think that's all it was, just making it more of a... for dumb kids is the punchline, but not quite the... Not because they get themselves killed. Although that being said, you might just be onto something.
Because part of me wonders, because they really went into doing as little as humanly possible for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if the idea, if that might not have been the stated reason, but the real reason was, the less we have to actually do, the better.
Right. That could easily be. And we know from beforehand that should kill all 4 of them. One interesting thing about Tellah is that the levels kind of work differently for him. At least it does in the DS version. I don't know if it does here or not. But because the guy is so old, the more time he spends out fighting, it's actually rougher for him. So he actually loses his physical stats as he gains levels. Which, of course, that always made me think of the weird stuff in D&D, how all your mental stats go up when you get older. So yeah, the elderly have better wisdom and thus better senses, Yeah, probably the first time Rydia's ever seen like combat. I imagine even summoners probably don't take your daughter to Dungeon Day. Yeah, this is another fun thing too, that the focus on family here, because so many RPGs have the characters as ciphers. They have no parents, they have no children, they're just there. With dungeoneering being basically the equivalent of going to college.
Right.
You get yourself you might have some roommates, but well, that's about it. So yeah, it's pretty cool that you get basically he's old enough to be a grandpa, but Anna's just his daughter. All right, let's do a save. Yeah, I knew there was a save point coming up to top off everybody's MP, so I figured that'd be a good time for it. All right, Now we'll be a little more sparing about MP going forward. The next break will be when we actually leave the dungeon to go to the next one. And they do that for the exact same reason. You know, you need to get a chance to restock your mages because you're going to be relying on them. They probably figure. If you do the math, Tellah has all of the level 1 spells, and you don't need anything stronger. Not that Tellah has anything stronger, but costs 5 MP, so you've got 18 fights that you can basically have him trivialize for you. Let's see. That actually did kill him, so we'll just do... Of course, once we get the Ice Rod, too, that will help out even more through these fights. Okay. Do that one. I don't remember the encounter rate being quite so high. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Okay. So we need to keep an eye on Rydia's MP more than Tellah's. So we're going to give her the Ice Rod. And I actually hit the triggers to try to skip to the next page. But nope, it doesn't work in this one. Actual Rod. So now if we really need to conserve MP, we can do it that way. Yeah, the dungeons in this game do tend to be pretty straightforward. Zombies, this is new. Okay. So, oh, we didn't mean to parry with them. But yeah, so the Dark Sword does not work on these undead. It works on skeletons, but not on zombies. And Rydia doesn't have fire, so this is going to be kind of awkward. What we're going to do is we'll try using Cure on one of them, see if that's enough to take him out. And survey says no. Okay. I'm thinking one blast of fire from Tellah might do the job. Let's find out. I remember these being encounters, these might be the ones I'm thinking of, that it was more worth it to run away. Yeah. We'll just use the Rouse to finish the job here. Ben likes Rydia's thumb-twiddling magic. yeah, they really do a good job of showing that she is she's a kid doing stuff. Like how she covers her head with her hands, like she's preparing to attack.
Right.
I just imagine the wind gestures people are doing as Dark Souls gestures. Alright. One more down. I think this is where we start getting gear. We start finding it. Pretty sure this is where we get our first one. Not that one. No, okay, I'm wrong. It might be the second part, so the second part of the dungeon. Jellies. This is another enemy that you have to handle differently. So, if you have a scan, you can, which I think he does. No, he doesn't. Okay. Let's try using Basic Rod first. And I'm thinking they're probably going to be weak to ice. Let's find out. Here's what happens if we try using physical on them. So it's not ice. Okay. Yep. Jelly enemies, just do not, they kind of ignore physical attacks. Let's try fire. Basically, each of the types of ooze monsters is resistant to a different, is vulnerable to a different type of magic, so it is fire in the case. So Tellah's going to be pulling double duty, which means I think that I'll have Rydia start focusing on the enemies that take lightning.
Right. As a matter of fact, yes, I am Jelly.
We're getting a strong Krang vibe. I can see that too, especially since they're pink. Yeah. Yeah, the Flan type monsters have been around for a long time. Final Fantasy I actually had slimes and jellies, but they were more based on the D&D ones, of course. They tend to even match the colors and everything.
Right.
And in those cases, they tended to have high defense, but not. Oh, you can actually just see the background there. I don't remember it being quite so obvious that you could see those.
Might be an emulation thing.
Yeah, probably. Take some of the fun out of it. I guess it does, on the other hand, make it easier to not have to waste time trying to find them.
Right.
Was it here? Was it here? So I think I remember where all of them were, but, might not.
But I think that you might not remember as well as you think you might.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mentioned in the thread there that I haven't played this version of Final Fantasy IV in, I want to say, 8 or 9 years, probably longer. The last time I played it was on an actual Super Nintendo, and which we don't have anymore. And then I played the DS version a couple years ago, and if Sway was here, she would know when she borrowed it from me because she'd never given it back. That was at least probably I think 5 years ago. So it's been a while. This is one of my favorite games, so it's been a while since I've gotten to it. Yeah, Ben, you could see them on the Super Nintendo, but you had to look pretty close. It was more like the edges were kind of like where they met the walls was a little had a little animation to it, and there was a little lighter color on the background. I don't think it was quite so obvious. Okay, I could be misremembering that too. Here we go. This is a fun one. So the tiny mages are in the back as you'd expect a mage to be, and they counterattack with that. Here's a cool thing. First of all, let's try to use lightning to clear out these guys. Yeah, I actually like this one. This gives you a thought. It's like, hey, they're casting Paralyze on us. I bet we can cast it on them, and they're actually vulnerable to it. And needless to say, if they're paralyzed, they can't counterattack you. Ouch. Okay, that wasn't good. Right. So there goes most of Tellah's MP. So if I'm going to be doing this fight, it's going to be. See, all of those guys should be weak enough now.
You should still have some HP or some MP left.
I do, but it's like I'm gonna try to conserve at this point. Let's
try to kill the tiny mage. Or how long does hold last?
A couple rounds. Yeah. I thought they should all be weakened enough that the rods will kill them, and then with the front ranks gone, the tiny mages will take full damage, and then Cecil can finish them off. Is my thought there. Yeah, this is easily the trickiest fight of the entire zone, and I kind of wish that Final Fantasy IV had, and JRPGs in general had more fights like this. I know you've got the Etrian Odyssey series if you want, grueling slogs for most of the game, but. I know I talked to somebody before about Dragon Quest. This is the context of Dragon Quest VIII, but really liking the idea of, okay, he doesn't have... Oh, he has it himself. Let's return the favor. I should have hit the one that was paralyzed, right?
Yeah.
There's Cecil back. Okay. Well, hopefully Tellah's is... ouch, okay. So Cyclone isn't going to do anything to them. I didn't realize their magic resistance was going to be that high. Yup. And now we know they're both conscious again, so... Anyway, with one of them already hurt, Cecil should...
Nope.
How about we just start beating mages to death? Actually, I bet Summon will do some pretty good damage on them.
There you go.
The other guy hasn't really been hit yet, so I think we'll use Chocobo on him. Ouch, maybe not much MP left. I've never had that much trouble with these guys, though. Yeah, that's not good. Ouch.
At least because it was a summon, he didn't psych or hold. So.
Right. Yeah, different reactions trigger different things. There we go. Oof.
See, this is what happens when you try to show off.
About what?
Well, you try to show, yeah, you can cast hold on them, and you can psych them and all these other things. Like, no, you can't.
Yeah, hold worked. Psych did not. That was the problem.
Well, it's the sort of thing where it kind of worked, but it didn't do what you needed it to.
I think what I'm going to do is, this is where I'm thinking it is. I'm going to poke my head outside first, and use a tent, and then come back and get the rest of the stuff. I think this is the last room. I think. Ooh, Toad is a counter, so you definitely want to be careful on...
That's a lot of things in here that have counters or things like that.
Right. Yeah, the game is definitely kind of throwing you in the deep end on trying to do this stuff. Sweet.
I guess it's alright, because...
Oh. Well.
Well, might as well go for it.
Yeah, see if he'll counter him again. Oh.
Wait a minute. Can you use the ice rod on him?
Oh, ouch. Does Tellah know? So he does not. So we're gonna have to wait for him to re-toad somebody. Let's see. The heal potions would do it. Actually, I think this would be a good time to show off this. This is one. I think it might only cure poison, but let's give it a try. Yeah, I'll cure poison in this one. Wada says the dead toad sprite is pretty great. Tellah's in magic resistance might be high enough to shrug off Toad. We'll try to have Cecil to get it to trigger. There we go. One more shot from him will do it.
We hope.
Yeah, so what we're going to have to do is raise Iridia and then use a heal potion on her. So I don't know if a tent undoes either one of those things. Yep. Yeah, Tellah's exactly right. You want to camp out here and get your strength back. So, we don't have any Phoenix Downs, do we?
Nope.
I didn't realize I had to buy those. Let's see, I think, do tents revive KO in this one?
We're about to find out.
Yeah, in my haste, I have made some terrible decisions, it seems like.
Nope. Well, she's no longer a frog.
And
so
he doesn't
this
have,
is something.
Okay, he has life, alright. Well,
that's actually even worse. Yeah, you'll have to do that again because she didn't regain any
EMP, you're right. Been a long time since I played this version.
I can actually feel your confidence slowly ebbing away as as bad decisions start mounting up.
Yes. Yep, I know. I did know the game fairly well, you know. Let's see. I think Ice Rod should probably do it in one. Let's give that a try. There we go. Perfect. That'll definitely do it then.
By that point, you should probably just have finish them off normally.
That's true. Just conserve MP going into the next zone.
Yeah, you don't want to use another tent. You don't have to. Again, if you're going to be traveling around much at all, you're probably going to be using enough resources to deserve it. So
right. Okay. So at this point, she might be strong enough herself to kill these guys. Let's see. Not quite enough. Okay. So if we're going to kill them, we're going to have to Tellah do it.
Shouldn't you just do the widespread one and then try to pick them off if they're still around?
I wasn't sure if with 6 of them on the board, if that would have been enough damage. Yeah, I was definitely do it now. And then have Tellah finish off the other one.
So, what do you get from killing the water bug?
They're actually worth a fair bit of gold compared to the gold XP compared to the regular enemies.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it just has to be worth it to kill them. And basically, it's worth. They give you about. Oh, actually, not a whole lot. Huh. I thought they were worth more than that from earlier. Well, I guess if it's not actually going to be worth it then they probably shouldn't bother.
Right. Yeah, it just seems like they take a little too much effort to kill for what you're getting.
Exactly. Yeah, if they had a good drop, maybe that'd be one thing. But
Old Metal
Slime factor. If only they were as good as Metal Slimes. But yeah, I'm always going to remember playing Dragon Quest VIII and all the time spent with the escalating types of metal enemies. You do need to keep grinding your levels to get it in the post game. I love that game, but it had its bad parts.
So ice doesn't do a lot to them.
Oh, I'd forgotten that that wouldn't have been enough to kill them. Yeah, but ice would definitely do enough to finish the job. They probably have about 30 HP, given that that was high 20s and they still survived it. And then anything else would probably do it.
Right.
I have actually had them survive a fire and then Cecil finish them off.
Huh.
Which is... Yeah. There it is.
The Darkness Sword.
So, sensing a theme, shed into darkness and everything. That's worth 10 points of attack. Which you're not going to turn that down. Okay. I think we're doing good enough on MP, yeah. We'll be fine for that. I will save, but we're not going to worry about using up another tent. But once again, with magic, always target the back rank enemies with that. So Cecil can do the damage up front. So heading into our second boss. And the first one is actually kind of a challenge. The Mist Dragon is basically a lesson in keeping an eye on cues. Like, you get a warning, you listen to it. And which is funny because they teach you that lesson really early, and then don't do much with it after that. A lot of the late game bosses don't really, interact with that system at all. Let's save first. 1 hour. So I thought I'd be further along in an hour, but the mistakes were made. Hey, John.
You Spoony Bard. We're not there yet.
Not there yet.
We're
Close.
there.
Close. All right. So we have more of the dark set heading here. And time to get jelly. Poor Rydia. Yeah, I mean, the other elemental spells will still work, but Tellah should be able to do it in one, so...
If not, pretty close, too.
Yeah. Oh, that's the stuff.
No, we're just about to get to the end of the...
We're about to get to the Octo-Mammoth boss fight. The Mist Dragon boss fight, yeah, it is kind of... Yeah, the Mist Dragon is kind of like a swan. It's a good comparison. So I got the helmet and the gauntlets. I don't think there is a darkness shield. Actually, I don't think there's a black shield either, for that matter. Ah, these guys.
The alligator.
Gators are weak to ice, and they counterattack as well. So, no, they don't counterattack, they hit twice, yeah.
Well, yeah, one's with the left and one's with the right.
And a left, and a right. So if the regular ice spell was that strong, Ice Rock should probably do it too. Maybe not. I remember their HP being pretty high. Okay. Alligators. A boxer gator. Oh, who was that from Ninja Turtles? It was Leatherface, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Leather...
Leather. Yeah, Leatherhead. That sounds right. Yeah. So Leatherneck is Marines. Leatherface was the movie.
Right.
Lots of whiffs there for gators.
Leatherhead.
Yeah, Leatherhead. Yeah. Yeah, perfect.
Just keep throwing around anatomy. We'll get there eventually.
Air Force gator. Not quite enough.
He then demands, "What's his name? What's his name?"
Alright. These guys actually are worth a fair bit for only being two of them. And dark armor. And they do that one with the treasure chests because that's how you handle pickups in these games. It does make me wonder what Dark Knight went through here, leaving all of the stuff just kind of lying around. Lorik just knows him as the Cajun Gator. And Ben says, lots of nightmares. Google image search the inside of the leatherback turtle's mouth. Oh. Okay. Octo-Mammoth is also a cool idea you won't see used again, I don't think anyway, about how the sprite actually changes in response to what you do. It is vulnerable to lightning, but the difference between a summon and a lit 1 is such that I think Chocobo is more bang for her MP.
This has to be something like a meme, because it's pretty high up on the Google list. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that is actually pretty horrifying.
Well, thanks, Ben.
As most things Ben talks about are.
But yeah, as you whittle down Octo-Mammoth's HP, it gets fewer and fewer active tentacles, and it gets slower too. So it's one of those weird things where the fight actually gets easier as you progress. It might actually not be weak to lightning. for how little that's doing. Ben did warn us.
I have to wonder if that's been any inspiration for a monster or something like that, like in a horror game. Because, the idea of a mouth that's basically full of teeth on all sides.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, it looks really familiar.
Right. John is not Red Air Force Gator, because like Dan Rickards. Oh, one. But still, I wonder if it's just the number of hits then, and not so much how much damage it does. Because you think it'd be kind of weird for a hit of 1 point of damage should be just enough.
Oh, then again, Stranger Things have happened.
Yeah. Cecil's definitely bringing the pain on this one. I think 3 tentacles is the least it goes to.
Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Huh.
We're about to find out. They're kind of sad and forlorn with only one left. Then again, with that grin on its face.
I don't think it can.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I thought that it was just one tentacle and
then it dies, right?
Keys? Sling gun?
So instead of Octo-Mom, it's Octo-Dad. No one suspects a thing.
Why are you beating up that perfectly ordinary man?
Yeah, there we go.
Or reminds Lorax of either Predator or the pit thing in Star Wars. The Sarlacc, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sarlacc, right.
Yeah.
We're almost done here, so...
You can splurge, live a little, throw a
Yeah.
chocobo at it.
A man, not mom. No idea what a man is.
It's if you want to be polite to the Octo.
No, that'd be in AAM.
Alternatively, could not have enough characters for Octo-Mammoth, which is completely not. I'm not comfortable with that at all. Octo-Mammoth? No, it's not a mammal. So.
Bum, bum, bum. The Final Fantasy games didn't really do that kind of Zelda jaunty celebratory tune too often. And suddenly, speaking of the Air Force, well, oh, it reminds me, John, of Ultros, yeah. Good old Uncle Ulti. Dude, we're having a moment here. These are much less sinister bodyguards. So how about we paralyze the mages and then let... Yeah, he does not have hold himself. Okay, so we'll just do this. See, I paralyzed the one on the bottom. I want the one on the bottom. So let's get the other one this time.
Apparently it's for Octo-Mammoth.
Oh, that makes sense. Thanks, Wada. So sometimes it's weird trying to decipher the shortcuts they took in these localization things.
Oh, so did it not actually get help?
No, it didn't.
Weird. They can do that?
Oh!
How dare your spell not work? Ready up.
Oh,
did that not actually hurt her?
Didn't actually go through.
Wow. She can probably kill the imp at least.
Yeah, that's true.
Start doing some real damage.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. So then that would have helped freed Cecil up to do more damage. There we go. Imps are so fragile. Oh, whoops. Well,
might as well try to kill the bottom one.
Kill the bottom one, yeah, so Cecil can go to work on the top one.
Which is why you have her attack them.
Yep. I figured Tellah could probably wrap up the other one. Nice. Dark Sword, a clutch Dark Sword hit there.
Whew.
Alright. Tiny mages, man. Do not mess with mages. Ooh, a silver ring. That is
improvement over your iron.
Yeah, we don't get to buy those until Mysidia, I believe. So we're going to be losing Tellah pretty soon. So let's go to give her that. I don't think he has anything on him I care about.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Maybe the rod?
Oh yeah, let's... to make this even funnier. Okay. So, Demsayan, one of those.
Watch your language.
It's family friendly stream. We are totes, not the enemies. Pay no attention to our former Red Wing insignia. So, other hats. The ruby ring. The ruby rings are good because even though silver is not magnetic, it will still be stopped in the magnetic cave, whereas the ruby ring still functions normally. It has no physical defense, but pretty good magic defense. It's something good to have if you're expecting trouble from those types of enemies.
I'm starting to think that this is a Legend of Zelda game. They put all the arrows in a pot.
And Cecil's just walking through there, smashing them with a sword.
Spin slashing, no less.
Okay, now that we have raided the castle, didn't have anything useful in there anyway. It's like, where's the stacks of gold in the treasury? And we can talk to the dead soldiers, but they don't have much to say. It's another thing of basically as soon as you get to a town that's been pretty much ransacked. Now, if you play the actual Final Fantasy II, this becomes no surprise, because that game is freaking merciless when it comes to characters. Like over half of the people in the game die by the end of it.
Also, I have to say that because you only see the Red Wings fly over, I can only imagine them like doing the Call of Duty or like rappelling from the ships, grabbing the crystal, and coming back up again.
Right. You're the bard. Love how, yes. Alright, everybody, I'm not going to ruin this moment. Yes.
You spoony bard.
I've been in the community for ever since. So if the game came out in '91, that would make this its 25th year anniversary.
Huh.
Oh, come on, Tellah, you have a chance to bring it home.
Shut your mouth.
Slap the taste out of the young man's mouth, and and you missed. All jokes aside, though, I do like this scene. Yep, surprise, surprise. The princess sneaks out of the castle in the guise of a wandering bard to pick up the ladies.
And found love in a hopeless place.
Who is that man? Ven mentions that Edward's overworld sprite looks oddly sassy and feminine. Well, Edward.
You listen very quietly. Yes, that is also the squeaking going on.
When Yoshitaka Amano is your character designer, there are only pretty men. Well, and Yang and Sid, I guess.
Right.
I gotta say, sometimes for as much flack as the translation gets, I have to admire the directness of it sometimes.
Right.
It's like it makes it seem a little more realistic. So that's basically exactly what I would imagine Tellah saying in that situation.
Right.
and speaking of slapping the taste out of somebody's mouth. And sums it up. Ven asks about the squee chorus. Edward has not as many as Kane, of course, but Edward has his share of fans. Grandpa is angry. And likewise, this is great. Just imagining the kid just dressing down dressing down this guy for thinking his world is over, which in his mind it is, to be fair.
Right.
And then, but Rydia, that same thing happened to her.
Right.
Everybody's sad. And more slapping. What do we need Edward's help for again?
Because we're one party member short.
Right. Right, our girlfriend. Right.
Did you forget Rosa again?
No, I didn't. Seriously, well, there was a second there where it's like, we know we need him for the hovercraft, but what else?
That's actually what you need the hovercraft for.
Right. Do the shallows. Another fun thing that is pretty much only used this once more, about halfway through the game. Alright. Obviously, we have traded down, unfortunately, but Edward still has his uses. Part of the big problem is that the sing skill just isn't very good. There are some really cool songs that they would add in Final Fantasy V that if Edward had, would obviously make him a much better party member.
Right.
But you don't get him for very long, so that's probably why they don't too stressed about it.
It's kind of a shame, because I do like the bardic archetype.
I think we can... Let's see. Yeah, we don't get like a list of the stuff you can do. We just have to try and find out.
Of course, I'm a little spoiled, because when I think bard, I think the either Celtic or Norse versions, where you could literally like melt somebody's face with the with your blistering verbal assaults, and things like that.
Yeah, when you're talking about the people who had a contest where you taunt people to death, I mean, it's kind of pretty epic.
Right. I just can't imagine Edward doing very well with it, though.
Let's see, was this the health? HP status strat. Yeah, mostly for obvious reasons, you pretty much only ever need to use the MP jar, because then you can just cast healing spells and get your HP back that way.
Right.
Needless to say, most other versions would just combine them to one all-heal restore because seriously.
Yeah, Viking Scalds were boss.
Yeah. It's been a pretty common thing to add a Scald variant for bards to make them more martial and everything. A lot of them tend to miss the point of Norse power ballads.
Right. Instead, they're just like, oh, this is the bard you wear if you want to have a horned helmet and use an axe. They didn't actually use oh, whatever.
Okay, we can go straight back to Kaipo now.
Also, I love how low a level he starts out at.
Right. He has his bard tunic. We're going to want to get him some defense. Well, actually, no. I think he's fine. Focusing on... He gets... You can see how bad the ruby ring is. It's 1 point of magic defense and no points of physical, it seems
Yeah,
like.
I think iron is definitely better for him.
Yeah. Truly saddens then the horned Viking helmets were essentially a myth. Ah, I know. Let's see. We need to go to... You can actually keep going along the shallows and hit Mount Hobbs. Actually, let's do that real quick, because there's a special scene you can get. It doesn't put us out of our way any.